What's up? How y'all doing? Sigmager. A while ago, I gave this one. It was probably like 6, 7 months ago, something like that. This is a Kershaw Knockout in LMAX, right? Excellent knife. I freaking love this knife. And I gave it away to a buddy of mine because he didn't have a knife. He wanted to carry a pocket knife. He didn't have a whole lot of money, so I wanted him to have something that was a little bit nicer, a little bit higher end. So I gave him this one, right? And recently we were kicking it, right? And he mentioned that he still had it on him. He was playing with it. I was like, oh, let me see it, right? Took a look at it, and it's got some interesting problems here. I've never seen that on a Kershaw. I've never seen that on any knife, right? It doesn't happen when it's closed, and it still does function flawlessly. Still got a great action to it. There's no blade play, no rattle. That was a German Shepherd. Almost broke my hand in a German Shepherd's mouth. I'll tell you the story about that one if you're interested in it. And so what I think this is that torsion bar, right? I think the torsion bar in there in the open position is just rattling around, because if you know anything about the speedsafe mechanism, generally when you take it apart, there's a whole lot of gunk, like a whole lot of grease inside there. And I have a feeling, I had thought that, I still do believe that it's probably a carbon steel spring, right? The actual spring for that speedsafe mechanism itself. And so with that, you're going to want a little bit of corrosion resistance. And that's why I thought they had packed so much grease out of the box from the factory packed that channel full of so much grease, right? But actually, I'm thinking now that one of the reasons they might be doing that is to stop that speedsafe mechanism from flapping around in there. So I'm going to take all these body screws out and come back to you. Yep, so pop the scale off. Maybe. Yeah. So our little mechanism pops all apart. It's your stop pin. Nicely machined. Stop pin. And here's the actual torsion mechanism. And as you can see, I had disassembled this, right? And when I owned it, and I didn't pack any grease in there because I thought it was unnecessary. So I just put a decent amount of oil in here, right? Because the oil would stay and that would prevent the rust. I hadn't actually thought about the motion, right? It moving around in there. And so I'm going to pack it full of grease and see what's up. Let's take a look at this mechanism here. You can see the little phosphorus bronze washers actually stuck to the blade. I'm going to leave them there. Orientates them nicely. You can see the way that lock bar is stuck in there. If there's a weak point in this whole mechanism, it's this little piece right here, because it's milled out. It's got to be milled out really thin to fit actually into the aluminum handle here. It's milled out to fit into that little channel there. And so if this has a weak spot, it's those two screws actually holding the actual locking bar in place. Inset liner lock is a cool mechanism. It definitely works really well, but it's not the best for hard use. I just have I have trust issues with it. Yeah. That may be nothing, but yeah, if you're not familiar with how the torsion mechanism in an actual speedsafe works, right? Show you that one real quick. This is actually just writing inside. You can see this just fits in this little channel here. And it's locked into the blade through this pin here is locked into that little hole on the actual blade itself, right? And it just moves up and down. So when you compress the blade, and actually when you force it in, it compresses this spring downward. You can see that there. It compresses it down into this little channel here, right? You can imagine that little relief. And that is actually what gives you that pop, that spring. So you've only got that little launch, right? And it stalls out about halfway through. And so I would compare it to like an OTF almost. It throws the blade. It's not an actual spring assist all the way. It's just a little bit of a boost, and then the momentum carries it the rest of the way open. So it's similar to the way that an OTF works, but I'm going to go get some grease, pack into this little channel here, and I'm noticing actually that is bent. You seen that? Is that intentional? Let's see. I think that bend actually is intentional from the factory. I've never noticed it before, but I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to correct that because it's sitting flush the whole way around with that bend in it. The hell is that? Yeah. This is going to be my lube of choice, some frog lube, and I'm using the torsion bar from a Kershaw Blur, because it's in my toolkit, and I use this thing for everything. I'm going to take a hefty amount of grease. I'm not going to put all of this in here, but give a big old blob. Alright. So that this has got, it's not going to flap around in there. Let's see if that fixes my problem. I was actually about to pause this, but I'm not going to, because reassembly of a Kershaw, the torsion bar in it, is a bitch. So this is my method. Put the spring all the way to the top, and actually, well, need my stop pin. Alright. And I'll align, what I do, right, is I'll take that torsion, or the actual, that tab, and stick that thing in first, right, holding the whole mechanism together. I'll hold it off at an angle like this so that I can actually hold that plate on. Stick my little pin in. You can see that there. I'll align my little pin into the hole, and then just find my pivot. See that? I've got my pivot lined up now, and I will pivot it onto the stop pin. So you got all three pieces lined up, right? Squish it all together. Stick the pivot in. You don't want to tighten down the pivot all the way. It's just to hold the whole mechanism together. And then I'll slide my backspacer in. Find these holes. Yeah, give me a second. I'm actually just going to do all of this on camera. What I'm doing is lining up that backspacer. Shit. Alright. Line it up in place. It's really just kind of guesstimation. Pop the screw through. Same thing on the back. Tighten them down. All these body screws tighten down. Put a little bit of torsion on the pivot. Check the lockup. Lockup solid, right? Now I'm going to check my centering. My centering is off, and it wasn't originally. So what I'm going to do for adjustment is undo all of the screws. Close that mechanism up. Right? You can see where it's sitting. It's sitting too far over to the non-locking side, right? When it was actually locked up. So I'll take a little pin, jam it in there. And this is just in order to hold that blade over. So when I seat all of these body screws now, it'll line up. Don't strip the damn screw head out. Alright, give a little bit of extra tension to that. Back it off about 1/8 of a turn. Bam, slams open, lock up, solid. Blade centering, perfect. It does still, there's a little bit. Can you hear it? There's a little bit, but it's not nearly as bad. Yeah. Lockup's still in the same spot, so, yep. That is one of the reasons that there's grease inside of a Kershaw speedsafe mechanism. If you ever get some rattle, that's how you fix it. Y'all have a good one.